Hello, I am Ngamisila Pamela Ngubane, and this is the Entity Dynamics podcast. Entity Dynamics is a culture development consultancy where we believe that culture creates behavior and behavior creates reality. So, the title of this video is A Culture of Using the Right Words. Okay, because we tend to use words like almost interchangeably, and oftentimes, because of that, we don't end up describing things accurately. So the example that I'm going to use now is the difference between the word pride and the word grandiosity. Okay, so pride is like when you are proud that you submitted your thesis on time and now you're going to get your honors or masters or whatever, right? And you celebrate that you achieved this thing. So you're proud, right? Grandiosity is achieving this and then thinking that you're the only person in the world who's ever written a thesis this good. You're the only person in the world who's ever been as intelligent as you are, and you deserve everyone to bow down to you and roll out the red carpet wherever you go. Okay, that's grandiosity. So the one is rooted in reality and the other one is not. Pride is acknowledging your real achievement, your real success, right? In the context of the world that is full of other people also achieving things and also being successful, but knowing that you personally have achieved a serious milestone for yourself and you're super proud of yourself. That's pride. Grandiosity is like I'm saying, you know, no one else has ever done this and you're the greatest thing that's ever walked the earth. Okay. So, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, you know, there's that saying in Ecclesiastes that says that pride comes before the fall, and great pride before a great fall. And, you know, I think that, I think it's Ecclesiastics, but anyway, I think that when that word is used, pride, in that context, I think what the translators were supposed to have used was grandiosity. Okay, because there's nothing wrong with being proud of yourself for doing the things that you set out to do, for achieving your goals. Grandiosity is based on the illusion that you're the only one who's ever succeeded, you're the only one who's great, you're the only one who deserves any sort of praise, right? And this is why one of the personality disorder expressions of narcissism is grandiose narcissism, right? It's when people honestly, literally think that they're the greatest thing ever. And then what they tend to do is that they tend to downplay everyone else's achievements and get angry even when people achieve things that might appear to them to eclipse what they've achieved, right? This is why some people find it very difficult to be happy for people when they achieve things, you know, because they have a grandiosity complex. They're convinced that they're the only ones who are great, and anyone who pops that little delusional bubble that they're in is seen as an enemy in some ways, you know. So the reason why I'm raising this is because we live in this society where this word pride is used to mean grandiosity. And so we're teaching people that you shouldn't be proud of your achievements. You should downplay your achievements. And in fact, you should be ashamed of yourself for being proud. You know, that is very toxic. And it makes people feel that they have no right to actually strive for their goals, you know. And, you know, in some cultures, really, it's even more emphasized, you know. You should just try and be like everyone else. You shouldn't try and outdo anyone. You shouldn't try and elevate yourself because you're seen as being grandiose, right? So for me, I think that this is something which obviously stifles the natural inclination of a human being to achieve things. And also it causes people who might be innovative and bringing new ideas that could make the world a better place, make systems more efficient, change cultures, you know, bring more of a holistic, humane, and earth-focused economic system to play. It makes people who have these innovative ideas shrink themselves and seek to fit in because, I think we have a culture and a system on this planet which has a narcissistic character, a grandiose narcissistic character. It's like, how dare you? Oh my God, there's a hawk. How dare you think that you're going to challenge the status quo? How dare you think that things could be done better than they're being done now? You should just be grateful to be alive on this planet that some people think that they own, you know. So I think it's probably then, in a sinister way, possibly deliberate that pride and grandiosity are used interchangeably, or pride is used to actually denote grandiosity. Because if you say to someone, "Oh, you're being so grandiose," for celebrating yourself, that person would be like, "I'm not being grandiose. It's true. I did something good. I achieved something. Why shouldn't I celebrate myself? Don't you celebrate yourself when you achieve your goals?" You know. So and by using the word proud or pride instead of the right word grandiose, then you actually then achieve this goal of suppressing people and making people feel ashamed for naturally, as a human being, celebrating what they've achieved, you know. And I think even worse and more sinisterly is that in some circles, it's it's promoted or touted to be a virtue, to be full of shame, to be shamefaced, right? I think Paul said something like that, that women should be shamefaced, They shouldn't do their hair too fancy. They shouldn't dress too fancy. They shouldn't speak up in the church or in the assembly. They must just sit shamefacedly and demurely and, learn from the men. And then he goes on to say, because Eve is the one who ate the apple and basically caused the fall of humanity. So this is restrictive programming to human beings, If you're ashamed, shame is the lowest possible vibration that a human being can vibrate on. If you're telling people that shame is a virtue, you're telling them to stay at a low vibrational point. Who does it serve for humans to be low vibrational? It obviously serves the people who benefit from the system, which is exceedingly exploitative of us, right? You're told that you're proud if you decide, screw this, I'm not going to be a wage slave in this economy. I'm going to go off grid and just do my own thing on the earth that I live on. Why the hell do I have to pay anyone to live on this planet? Those people who are deliberately misusing words will say, oh, that person is so proud. They're so full of themselves. They think they know better than their ancestors who were happy to be wage slaves, endlessly grinding away for a system that really couldn't give a damn if they lived or died, So I think it's very important to use the right words here, and also to acknowledge that, when a child feels that their parents love them and support them, that child will feel proud, and that child will strive to achieve great things and strive to be their best, knowing that they're going to constantly get this positive reinforcement from their parents. That is pride. It's good. It's healthy. When a child is made to feel ashamed of themselves for their achievements, ashamed of themselves for their dreams and their goals, guess what? That person's going to shrink, and all that energy, that emotional content that fuels those dreams and goals is going to be turned inward and in a twisted and perverted way. And then we wonder why people have drug addiction problems, promiscuity, eating disorders, criminal behavior, risky behavior, and stuff, So I think it's important to use the right words, because words are the first expression of the internal world. They're basically the first expression of culture. And when we use the right words, then we can start to also interact with each other and the world in a much more healthy way that will promote life instead of undermining the great potential that we all have as humans. Thank you.